Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brothers and sisters, viewers, friends of Iqra TV, welcome to part 2 of this special edition of Real Talk, which is looking at the post-election after the 2024 local government election results. I have with me a very eminent political analyst, as I keep saying, somebody that I respect very well. We've been talking about what has happened in this election, how Labour have not actually managed to win the level of support that we thought they might have, because when you look at national polling, they are put at over 20% above the Conservative Party, but at a local election level, they only managed to secure 3%, 3.2%. Yes, they have won some seats, quite a lot of seats, but not to the extent that people thought that they would. But in the meantime, one of the things that we have seen and witnessed, that a lot of people, particularly from the Muslim community and the non-Muslim community for that matter as well, who are not very happy with Labour's policy, specifically on Gaza, actually stand up to be counter elections. A lot of experienced Labour members from the local authorities. In my case, in my area, Councillor Shabir Pandor, as he was, who was the leader of the local authority for many years, he lost his seat as well. Another sort of long-standing members of the Labour Party lost their seat as well. Now, how will this translate? Because as Ishtiaq said earlier, we're not that far away from a general. And where do you think is the Muslim community or the voting pattern will be as we get closer to it? Ishtiaq, I mean, we've seen this this happen all across the country. As you mentioned, it's not just the young people. I mean, in my area, I have older people who have been absolute stalwarts. And when I say stalwarts, I mean, for them, the Labour Party is almost like a second religion. But this time around, as you said, you've experienced from your community, contacts as well, the people you talk to, they were absolutely horrified at the way the Labour Party behaved, particularly in Gaza. Do you think that sentiment will carry on? Because we might have the election around autumn, early winter time. Do you think that strength of feeling and anger will carry on? And we, in Bradford, we have 2 members of Parliament from the Muslim community. How will they feel when they see the result of the local election? I don't know whether you've spoken to any of them, but how do you think that they will feel? Do they feel that they are less secure in their position now than they were, say, 8-9 months ago?
If I was Imran Hussain and Naz Shah in particular, I would be very worried.
Right.
I would be very worried. Less so perhaps Imran Hussain, because he has been distancing himself.
He made a very good speech in the end.
Distancing himself from the National Labour Party policy, although still within the Labour, but has actually created a kind of distance between himself and where Keir Starmer and his team is standing. Naz Shah's must be extremely worried because many of the independents have actually come from her constituency.
Oh, right. I see.
Okay. So
I know she issued a letter this morning that I came across on my social media sort of WhatsApp group, sort of apologizing, saying I'm sorry to the people of Gaza and Palestine.
Yeah. So many of the votes which have gone to independence, actually they sit in her constituency.
Oh, wow.
So she if I was in her place, I would be extremely worried. But I have said that these elections were Muslim voters, Muslim community and the Labour. The next election will be also, if Labour is not careful, it's going to be between Muslim voters and the Labour Party. And if that momentum carries on, that we are actually in danger of losing some of the very Muslim MPs that we have, who are actually there as part of the Labour Party. Labour Party. Yeah.
What do you think the Keir Starmer now needs to do in order to win the trust and confidence of the Muslim community?
Very simple, to actually do a U-turn, okay, on supporting Israel. He needs to speak out the genocide. He needs to acknowledge that there has been and there's continuing genocide in Gaza. the Labour Party has to condemn that, speak against it, and use his political influence to make sure that there is immediate ceasefire, and there are actually negotiations and discussions to restore back to Palestinians and Gaza their rights to live in their own homes in safety and independence. I don't think the Labour Party has a choice regarding the Muslim community. So he has to do a U-turn and do an immediate U-turn, and it has to be an open and it has to be a clear a U-turn. If he doesn't,
no ambiguity.
If he doesn't, he is going to actually create a kind of a ruptures between the Labour Party and the Muslim community, which, if they are consolidated in the general elections, that I don't think that there will be a recovery from that for the Labour Party post general election.
I mean, by all intents and purposes, the informed judgment at the moment is that the Labour Party is likely to form the next government, based on current sort of pollings that are coming out, and the results of the local government election have shown that the Tory Party is lost a lot of ground and has got very little confidence in within the community, the population. Do you feel that the Labour Party between now and the next general election is likely to make this massive U-turn, that you suggested they need to make? And if they don't, as you say, the ruptures between the Muslim community and the Labour Party are likely to grow. In those circumstances, how do you think the Muslim community is likely to react, not just on a local level, but on a national level?
Well, there are a number of, I think, pertinent points that we need to highlight. The opposition to the Labour Party on the issue of Gaza is not confined to 2 million plus Muslims.
True.
The opposition to the Labour Party in Gaza is much more widespread.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so by not actually addressing this issue, Keir Starmer and his party is likely, or there's a potential danger of a divided nation. Yeah, it will cause a kind of a rift and ruptures, which in the long term, for the well-being and cohesiveness of the British society, is going to be very dangerous. Okay, that point has to be registered very well by the Labour Party. Yeah, so it's not about just.
It's not just the Muslim community that is disenfranchised.
Yeah,
there are lots of people. I mean, if you look at the marches that have been taking place in London, there were nearly 50% of the people who were asking for peace and a ceasefire were non-Muslim people of sort of non-Asian color or black and ethnic minority communities.
So these national policy issues for the Labour Party will be real issues. For the local elections, we can say that majority of the people were actually concerned about the bread and butter, issues. But when you come to national elections, then the national policy of the Labour Party will be actually under scrutiny, and particularly its stance regarding Palestine and Gaza. Yeah, and there is already, we know that in British society there is really a widespread, in-depth, what I call anger about the Labour's policy on Gaza. Yeah, and that spreads across all sections of the community. Yeah, so the Labour Party has to address that. Secondly, the Muslim vote, which is growing in this society, in this country, yeah, and the Muslim vote has stood by Labour Party through thick and thins.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, the Labour Party moving forward on a long-term basis cannot afford to alienate, isolate, yeah, this growing, significant, important community in British society. Yeah, so it has to address the concerns which are very close to the hearts of the Muslim community, and particularly the Muslim community certainly is concerned about the national issues, but also very concerned about some of the international issues, for example, Kashmir, Palestine, and other areas of part of the world, and the Labour Party has to find some kind of a formula to mitigating those. I don't expect the Conservatives to do anything different.
That's what most people are saying.
Yeah, but I do expect, okay, that the Labour Party to actually listen to what's happening, listen to the Muslim population, listen to the wider population, and say, look, you know, we cannot go to general elections. Yeah, yeah, and it's not about just winning the elections, which are very important. Yeah, but it's also about how the society and the community holds itself, moving beyond elections, and I think that's to me is much more important issue.
I mean, from what you've said, obviously the Labour Party has been, by and large, the home of the black and minority community since the 50s, because that's where the affiliation started with. And now the demographic is changing, people are changing. And when people first came to this country, they were working textile mills and engineering. There was an association trade with the trade unions, etc., and that bonded people into the Labour Party automatically. Those bonds are not there as strong as they used to be in the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. So am I understanding what you're saying, that obviously the Muslim population is growing, its socio-economic structure is changing, because there are more and more young people are becoming more professional, they're running businesses, etc., very successful businesses, that they are much more wiser and much more in tune with politics, whereas people automatically voted, that they're going to be now thinking and listening and watching before they actually exercise their vote. So if the Labour Party does not listen to them, then the Labour Party is going to lose that demographic of people who had previously, their forefathers had supported them. Now, the chances of the Labour Party doing that at this moment in time, to me, seems quite slim. As I say, it requires fundamental change. So they're saying we want to win the trust and confidence of the Muslim community. So apart from just changing policy, what else do you think the Labour Party will need to do to try and win that trust and confidence? Not just on Gaza, but we've seen the rise of Islamophobia. We've seen under-education, in schools, particularly, in areas such as Bradford and Batley and Dewsbury and Kirklees, in the Midlands, where we have large proportions of minority ethnic communities who are living in some of the most deprived areas of the country. Do you think that there needs to be a reshift of some of the resources to try and uplift those communities in order for the community to feel that they are being listened to and that they're being delivered services appropriately?
At this point in time, Gaza and the genocide in Gaza supersedes
everything else.
Everything else. Yeah, the Muslim community is unwilling to listen to anything else that you may say to them, because for them the sticking point is what the Labour Party's policy and stance is on Gaza. Yeah, so they have to overcome that. Yeah, moving forward, then the Labour Party has to reach out and begin to prioritize some of the issues and concerns, wider concerns that the Muslim community has, okay, in terms of the inequalities, in terms of discrimination, disproportional resources, investment. All those issues are very important, and particularly they are very important to the emerging generations of Muslims. My generation and my parents' generations, we saw no option and alternative other than the Labour Party or voting the Labour Party.
Yep.
My sons and my grandchildren and my daughters, and they are much more discerning in terms of actually what these political parties actually mean to them. and whether these political parties have any relevance to them. I think the Muslim community will go on at least in our lifetimes, will go on actually showing its affiliation support for the Labour Party. But they expect the Labour Party to respond.
Yeah, as long as.
And be more responsive to issues. And you know, so we have now generations of people. We have leadership in business community. We have leadership in the community voluntary sector. We have a emerging leadership in our faith institutions who are beginning to ask questions. Yeah, and difficult questions. Yeah, saying that, look, you know, we don't want to move away from you, but to retain us, it's your responsibility.
I mean, I don't know about Bradford, but I know I've noticed him in other parts of the country. Particularly, the Gujarati community has always been sort of very docile when it comes to politics. You know, and I don't mind saying that. Particularly in our masjids and our imams have refrained in the past to make any political statements. But I noticed that in the current situation, that even they were saying that the Muslim community is to be very careful who they vote for. They were not directly saying don't vote for the Labour, but they were saying that, you know, you need to be careful and cautious who you vote for, and make sure that you vote for those people who are attuned to what the Muslim community is asking for. I don't know whether that happened in Bradford or not, where the faith communities or the masjids and the masajids who previously had not got involved in politics were somehow more sort of engaged on the political discussion debate without giving direct guidance as to who they should be voting for and what they should be doing.
I've heard imams actually very clearly say, okay, without naming the Labour Party, but very clearly saying that we cannot be politically supporting those elements, yeah, who are supporting the genocide.
They were saying it's complicit.
Yeah, so then people make their own, they actually reach their own conclusions.
And these were very young imams as well in some cases.
And some older imams as well. Yeah, as I said, that the Gaza issue has galvanized all ages and all sections of the Muslim community. The anger within the Muslim community is actually throughout, and it's not subsiding. It's not subsiding. It is actually
it's growing day by day.
It is increasing day to day. Yeah, but what they are also saying, and I think this is important for the Labour Party to hear, what they're saying, look, the responsibility, okay, to keep us with you, the responsibility is yours, not ours. You have to come forward. You have to change your direction. You have to convince us that you continue to deserve the kind of loyalty, affiliation that we have shown to you for many decades.
Okay, you mentioned this, in your opinion, there's about 46 constituencies where the Muslim vote can have a great impact on who wins the election as a member, who becomes member of parliament, right? And I've been saying for many, many years on not just this TV channel, but other TV channels that I've been going on for about 30 or over 30 years that I had something like 36 constituencies. Obviously, things have changed. Your information is more up to date. Do you feel that this particular issue has really galvanized the Muslim community to the level where they can actually realize that fundamental power that they have? Because if 46 MPs are MPs who serve one particular cause of one particular party, they could make a fundamental difference to the politics of this country, couldn't they?
46 plus, and it could be more.
Right.
It could be more. As I said, that the actually challenge is not just from the Muslim community. There are other communities who are feeling equally angry about the Labour Party. So these numbers could increase. Yeah. For a political party that has been out of power for some time now,
nearly 15 years.
Yeah, for it to get back into 10 Downing Street, it can't afford to even lose one seat.
Oh, definitely.
It needs all successes in almost all its traditional areas, plus new areas, for it to get back into the government. And I think, so, you know, this is a very fundamental point, important kind of stage or timing in terms of the Labour Party's relevance to the Muslim communities and the wider society. It must look at itself and say, what is it, okay, that we are doing which are actually which is alienating some of our most loyal, trusted supporters and voters.
Okay, I mean, that's very insightful, and there's something that I'm sure we will come back to this, because this is not the end, this is just the beginning of this discussion. We had these discussions before the elections, everyone wanted to know what was going on, and, you know, we had a lot of young people, you know, Ali Islam, Ishtiaq and others who came on my program, you know, people like Aziz Daji, who you know quite well, Zahid Kahoot from Kirklees, and Ali Arshad as well, that they have now won the seats in their areas. Now the discussion, debate goes to the next level, and I think that is the level that Ishtiaq is alluding to, and that is to say, where does the Labour Party now stand? Where does it turn in terms of its direction? Where does it go? The election for the general election for the members of Parliament is probably 6 months away, if not less than that, and therefore this discussion and debate is going to continue over the next few months. And I will want to ask people like Ishtiaq and others, particularly Ishtiaq, to come and share with us his thoughts and his ideas, because I know you'll be listening to them and you'll be taking a lead from what he says, and hopefully help you to make your decisions as we go forward as a Muslim community. I hope you have enjoyed the program. I'm deeply grateful, Ishtiaq, to you. Please don't go away to Pakistan unless, you know, you're going there for the good weather and so snows here. But inshallah, I'll see you soon. Take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Thank you, Ishtiaq, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you for having me.